So my number three is a film from 1983. It's Never Cry Wolf. This is directed by Carol Ballard, starring Charles Martin Smith and Brian Dennehy. The IMDb plot summary: a government researcher sent to research the quote unquote menace of wolves in the North learns about the true beneficial and positive nature of the species. This is a film for me when I think about the outdoors. One of the things that this film touches on is like your assumptions or preconceived notions about nature and what nature is, and also of yourself is
Mm-hmm.
not always right. And you have to go out and really experience the outdoors to understand you might actually don't to understand that you don't understand. Exactly. And I
Yeah.
think humans too, like in this film, the government that is sending the researcher up there thinks that the wolves are killing all these caribou and they want to kill the wolves to prevent the caribou from dying. And then he finds out in his research, this is actually based on a true story, his research that the wolves are not killing the caribou. I mean, they are, but killing only the sick ones. They're not
Mm-hmm.
surviving on caribou, they're surviving on mice, and that really the threat is the humans and hunting the caribou. And these are all things that the scientists assumed wrong. And you have to kind of go out there and discover that
Mm-hmm.
to realize that nature is not what you think.
Mm-hmm.
And what was had you seen this film or heard of this film before?
Never heard of it. I've never seen it. Yeah, really enjoyed watching this one. And also like for kind of a lesser known movie, I was kind of wowed by the scale of it and
Mm-hmm.
how it's put together. Like absolutely stunning. I mean, there's so many kind of these epic, outdoor nature movies done by big studios and big name directors, and I'd never heard of this director before, so I think that was pretty amazing. And then but yeah, I think the central sort of premise of that's exactly what you said, which is that you have to be out there, experience it. But
Right.
once again, they do a very good job of showing the kind of the bumbling idiotness of humans because they're
Right.
total kind of out of their comfort zone in this
Right.
area, but then also it celebrates their tenacity and
Mm-hmm.
the will to keep learning and understanding to the point that he's eating rats
Right.
to
Right.
see that okay, can this actually work, like is my hypothesis true? So I think it really
Mm-hmm.
shows that too, that humans are willing to kind of try, and that's why humans are who they are. They
Right.
keep going. So I thought that was very, very cool. And then the relationships he strikes with kind of the native people and all,
Mm-hmm.
like I thought that was pretty incredibly shown as well, because
Mm-hmm.
those people probably understand nature a little bit better.
Right.
I mean,
Right. That is their
even
home,
though, yeah,
basically,
that is
in a
their home
way. Even
in
though
a
they
way.
know, yeah, they know that they know that it's nature's not like there's animals and there's nature and then there's humans, but they've
Right,
known to coexist, but that we're still not part of that
right.
world
And they know that,
necessarily. And they know that. They definitely know that. Right.
as
They know
opposed
about the
to
balance.
the normal human who just shown up there
Right.
doesn't know that. So I thought that kind of learning and mentorship piece is also pretty cool. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, I think one thing that this movie touches on too, which some of my other films that I bring up will touch on as well, and something that I do think about the outdoors, is you go to a place that you are the guest. There's a lot of isolation. Like the
Yeah.
first part of this movie, he's totally by himself, and at some point you think like, is he going to die? And he might have died if that Inuit hadn't found him. But that part of that helps you kind of like look inward and discover new things about yourself too. And he talks about in this movie how he wanted to go into the wilderness to become a new man. He says in the beginning that was one of the reasons why he wanted to do this. And at
Mm-hmm.
the end, he mentions the place, the time that he spent there gave him a sense of wonder again, like a child. And
Mm-hmm.
this, that wow, the world is so amazing. And those are brought together brilliantly in this is crazy sequence in the film when he's completely naked running
Mm-hmm.
around this caribou herd as the wolves
Mm-hmm.
are like trying
Pretty
to
amazing.
pull off like the ones to the caribou that are sick to kill. And he's that is the nature is sort of awoken within him. Now it's again, he's still a human, so it's not like he's became the wolf. But that moment, you really think of he looks like a new, like he's
Mm-hmm.
reborn, like he's nude. Like when you enter the world, you're nude. When you get born, he's now being reborn as part of the nature. And that sequence, like similar to the famous sequence from Dances with Wolves, the buffalo
Mm-hmm.
hunting sequence, like these are all real animals. How
Mm-hmm.
did they do this? And this guy literally is nude running around in this space that like I just don't know how they this movie actually took 3 years to make. So
Yeah.
it was a major undertaking, which you definitely could see on the screen. But that whole sequence to me kind of sums up another message of this movie, that the nature can, the more time you spend in it, you unlock the sort of animal within or something.
Right.
Which definitely that sequence shows.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. But then it also brings up questions of like, okay, now that you've had this awakening, what do you do with that? You
Right.
know, and
Right.
that's sort of the constant back and forth between, are you a guest or are you not?
Hmm.
And no matter we it's our curiosity and our tenacity that wants us to keep learning and keep growing, which is great.
Right.
And at sometimes even being reborn. But then
Hmm.
where do you go from there? Do you just become off nature? Do you just move over there? And I think we'll explore this in some of your other movie
Hmm.
choices around
Right.
what happens when somebody does that and how does that really go?
Exactly. Right.
Or do you just come back and, lead a quote unquote normal life? And
Hmm.
can you even do that? I don't know. Is the answer that you just stay away or go to the deep end? It's a very
Right.
interesting thing. And I'm always curious, like as I've grown older, I met people who they've gone on massive sort of hikes around the world and spent
Mm.
like months and months in total solitude. And I always wonder that
Mm.
how is it for you to come back and
Yeah.
just eat at a restaurant with like all
Right.
these other people and all dressed up and people with makeup and what have you? Like, what do you think about all of that? Can you just fit right back in? I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Do you forget that part of yourself that you discover? And I think for this
Mhm.
character, which again, this is based on a true story, and there was a book, I read this book, I think in like fifth or sixth grade, that it's based on, Never Cry
Mhm.
Wolf. And I love this book as a kid. I was actually obsessed with a lot of these Yukon stories like Jack London,
Mhm.
and this book, I think is again why I associate the outdoors so much with this part of the world. But I think for him, it inspired him to going on this journey to become sort of an ambassador to this part of the world. We're writing these children's or young adult books. He's written several of them now, and
Mhm.
I think that seems to be his takeaway. Was like, wow, this place is amazing. Obviously I don't want to live there, but I want to bring part of that, teach the rest of the world about the things that I learned about going on this journey. But it might have
Mhm.
is how it may have changed him. He's a famous Canadian, basically children's author now, or was. He's
Mhm.
passed away now, but I think
Mhm.
this definitely touches on that. And one other thing I think that this movie does so brilliantly too, which sort of I haven't seen this movie in a really long time, actually, like probably 15 or 20 years, that I sort of forgot about the ending of the movie, where I do
Mhm.
think it asks a lot of there's sort of an ambiguous questions and
Right.
answers that it asks. So yeah, we're the guests there, right? Where he's up there trying to understand and protect the wolves. And there's a sequence when Brian Dennehy sort of comes back as a guy who's going to start maybe some hotels or like really exploit the land. He cares for the wolves a lot, and you do too as an audience member. And then
Mhm.
at the end of the movie, one of his friends of the natives, one of the Inuits, he ends up killing the wolves that this guy liked because he
Mhm.
needed the money to help his family.
Mhm.
And you're mad at that in the beginning. I was like, what? Oh no, the wolves are dead. Like, how dare someone do this? But you're thinking, well, wait a second. He did need that for his family. He's part of the indigenous population and they hunt. It's not like hunting is a bad thing if you need to, right? Sport and game hunting is one thing, but you're like not mad at him. And even the main character is sort of conflicted, I think. And I like that there's that questions of like, is it exploitation? What is exploitation versus something that
Mhm.
is just part of the normal balance of how humans relate with nature? Yeah, the Inuits will kill the wolves and the caribou because they need them. And this guy needed them
Mhm.
to buy new teeth and help his family. So
Mhm.
can you be mad at that or not? Like it's just I totally had
Yeah.
forgotten about that ending. And it was really like a gut punch because you really love these wolves, which by the way,
Yeah.
incredible animal acting.
Oh, beautiful.
Incredible animal acting.
And also amazing storytelling of establishing the relationship between the main character and the wolves. Like they're
Mm-hmm.
so far apart that those diary entries or monologues of him just observing them, like they
Yeah.
do such a good job of establishing this relationship.
Right. And then they're dead at the end. And you're
And
like,
then
you
at
want
the
to be
end.
mad at the guy, but then like, I don't know. I actually don't know the answer to this of like how I really feel about it. And I think that's what's so brilliant about this movie. It's not trying to say, we're always exploiting the wild. We should just stay away from it. But some of these cultures, like that's how they've been, like you said, ingrained
Yeah.
in the outdoors for thousands of years. And this is just how they like, who are we to say you can't do what you've done forever, even though it's really tough to see these wolves that like he gives them names and
Yeah.
they have cubs and you're really attached to them and now they're dead because this guy wants teeth. But
Yeah.
I get it, I get it.
Right. Yeah, it's complicated, right? I mean,
It's
on one hand,
complicated.
you could say that, yeah, man is an animal too. So just the way the wolves are hunting for the caribou, man has to hunt for whatever animal to suit his or her needs as well. But at
Mm-hmm.
the same time, you're supposed to be a more evolved creature as well with more
Right.
means.
Mhm.
Should you be doing that? Could you do something else? Like, you can make a choice, which
Right.
maybe other animals
Right.
can't.
Mhm.
But at the same time, you're also kind of an animal. So yeah, it's a complicated question. Maybe not so complicated for some people, depending on who you talk to, I suppose.
Fair. Right.
But
Right.
I
Right.
agree. Like, the movie does a good job of kind of presenting that in a way that you can sort of take. It's not preachy. You can take
Correct.
what you want to take from it.
Right. 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 Hey there, it's Alex. If you like the review and discussion Karan and I just had, make sure you subscribe to our channel, Movies That Shaped Us, to get full episodes. Every other Wednesday, Karan and I cover a topic around important people, places, events, and moments in our lives, and then explore it through 3 of our favorite movies. Subscribe right now, or follow our podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts via the link in the description below. Hope you join us for the journey.